Welcome to the Tax Playbook. I'm Trenda Hackett, your Web CPA with the Web CPA Virtual Tax Clinic. And guess what? I have some breaking news for you today. This is continuing in our series on student loans counsel. There have been so many changes in the student loan forgiveness, even in just the student loan debt program, that I want you to be in the know of. But before we get into what we're going to talk about on today, I want you to like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel so you will be in the know of the things that you can do to be on your road, either to debt freedom or to gain wisdom and strategies and tips to win in your taxes. So let's get into our topic on today. Here again, this is some breaking news. I am sure you may have heard on the news or either in social media that President Biden and Vice President Harris announced some more changes in addition to the changes that have already been made to the student loan program. So the recent changes that have been announced, let's talk about what does this mean for you and what do you need to do. If you will pay attention to the screen, the gist of what Vice President Harris and President Biden announced here recently, this is not talking about changes that were already had been announced, in which you can find out in the previous videos in parts 2 and 3 and 4 of this video series, but we're talking about the most recent changes and what you need to do. So if you pay attention to the screen, there was a three-part plan that they announced, and we're going to dig into that a little bit. So if you look on the screen, the first thing that they announced is that the COVID-19 pandemic student loan forbearance, it ends on December 31st, 2022 instead of August 31st, 2022. So what they did, they extended it until the end of the year. So if you are in a COVID-19 student loan forbearance, don't worry about having to start making your payments come August. That has now been extended to December 31st, 2022. Then the other part of the plan, part 2, I'll call it, is there will be forgiveness of student loan debt up to $10,000 for, these are single households, single individuals that make under $125,000 a year, or married, filing joint, or head of household persons if they make under $250,000 a year. Again, that's up to a $10,000 write-off loan forgiveness if your income levels fall under $125,000 if you're single, or $250,000 for married, filing joint, and head of households. In addition, you can get forgiveness or just wiped out another $10,000 if you are a borrower and you meet the income limits that I just talked about, under the $125,000 if you're single, $250,000 for married, filing joint, and head of household. You can get an additional $10,000, up to an additional $10,000 forgiven if you received a Pell Grant. If you received a Pell Grant. So that will result in your total that you could possibly have forgiven coming up to $20,000. Here again, $10,000 for non-Pell Grant recipients. However, $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients if your income falls below those thresholds. And let me tell you what I mean about up to. So the total amount of your forgiveness under these recent announcements that they just made is up to, you're capped at whatever the balance in your student loan account is. For example, if your student loan balance is $15,000 and you may qualify for the $10,000 for non-Pell Grant, as well as you may have gotten a Pell Grant, and that you may qualify for $20,000. So the maximum amount that you're going to have forgiven is up to the amount of your student loan balance. So your full $15,000 student loan balance will be wiped out. Also, another part of the plan is that going forward, they have made some changes to where only 5% of your discretionary income, there will be a cap on what your payment can be based on your income. For example, if you're under income driven repayment plan, right now, that percentage of your discretionary income, that's your income that you have to spend at your discretion. Right now, that percentage to determine the amount of your repayment, your monthly payment, is 10%. But under these new announcements and these recent changes, it is now going to be 5%. Then another part, instead of wiping your loans out after you made payments for 20 years, going forward, there's going to be provisions to where your student loans will be forgiven if you paid on them for 10 years and your balance is $12,000 or less. I know I just shared a lot, but I want to caution you that what I just shared is not a part of what I shared before. This is in addition to. So I want to encourage you to go back in this series and watch the other videos. Videos 1, where I tell you how to get ready for forgiveness. Video 2, where I talk about these automatic adjustments that are still in place, that are going to still be made to your account in the fall. Those are automatics. There's nothing you need to do. But most of all, remember, I talked about the public service student loan forgiveness. Y'all, don't forget that the deadline is October 31st, 2022. Time is running out. There is something that you have to do. You need to go back to video 3. I tell you what you need to do, but the main thing is get that public service forgiveness form completed, get it certified by your previous employer, and get it in to where it's supposed to be according to the instructions on the form no later than October 31st, 2022. Now, you may have the question, what must I do? And I'm so glad you asked. So, regarding the recent changes, the breaking news that I'm talking about in here today, for the pandemic forbearance, guess what? You don't need to do anything. That's going to be automatically extended to December 31st. But guess what? To qualify for the up to $10,000 or $20,000 loan forgiveness, there's something that you have to do. So as part of that announcement, the Department of Education is going to be required to make available a short and simple form that you would have to fill out and submit to apply for this relief. So remember, if you want to have up to $10,000 and possibly $20,000 of your student loan written off based on the criteria that I just shared on the screen, you have to do something. There will be a form that is available, and I want you to be on the lookout for that form, because it's not going to be automatic. You will have to fill out that form and submit it, and so that you can be certified to have your loans forgiven. So you may be wondering, how are they going to determine whether my income is the $125,000 if I'm single, or $250,000 for married, filing joint, or head of household? The Department of Education, if you have been prepared to start back repaying your loan, if you're on a income driven repayment plan, a lot of that information they're going to have. But remember, I told you that there is going to be a form that the Department of Education is in the process of creating now. It's going to be a process. It's going to be an application process for you to fill out, and at that time they will collect your information. So be on the lookout. Y'all stay on top of this. You can stay in the know by visiting this channel, as well as going to www.studentaid.gov. Remember, what I just talked about here today is in addition to what I already talked about on videos before. And I still want to caution you. I want to embed this date in your head. If you are a public service employee currently, or even in the past, I want you to get credit for your time, for past time in public service, because the more credit you can get for that time in public service, the closer you get to those 120 months or those 10 years, and you could possibly have your entire student loan balance forgiven if you are a teacher, if you are a nurse, if you're in healthcare, if you are part of a 501c3, you work for the government, if the federal government, the state government, or local government. Go back to video 3 and 4 and look at that to see if you can qualify to have total loan forgiveness because of public service. Now, that's all I'm going to share with you today, but by all means, always you can reach out to us at www.virtualtaxclinic.com if you have any questions. You can comment on this video. We're always checking your comments so that we can respond to them. But I want you all to be on the lookout for what are the things that you need to do. There's so much that have been put out. Some of it is automatic, but some of it is not. And I don't want you to miss it. Okay, that's all I have for today. You go out and you have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you can be in the know.